Hi everyone, this is Navita. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss a very popular novel, in fact, a novella by Joseph Conrad, and the name of that novel is Heart of Darkness. The book was published in 1899 and it has been considered the most prominent works in pre-colonial literature. So let me just introduce this novella to you. The Heart of Darkness is the story of an English seaman, Charles Marlowe, who is hired by a Belgian company to captain river steamer in the ancient established Congo Free State. Almost as soon as he arrives in the Congo, Marlowe begins to hear rumors about another company employee, Kurz, who is stationed deep in the interior of the river, hundreds of miles up to the Congo River. The second half of the novella, as it often labeled, relates Marlowe's journey upriver and his meeting with Kurds. His health destroyed by years in the jungle, Kurds dies on the journey back down to the coast, though not before Marlowe has had a chance to glimpse, I quote, the barren darkness of his heart. The coda to Marlowe's Congo story takes place in Europe, questioned by Kurtz's intended about his last moments. Marlowe decides to tell a comforting lie rather than reveal the truth about his descent into madness. Although Conrad never met anyone quite like Kurtz in the Congo, the structure of Marlowe's story is based closely on his experiences as mate and temporarily captain of the Roi des Belges, a Congo River steamer, in 1890. By this time, Conrad born Jos Tewor Conrad in the Russian ruled part of Poland in 1857. The Heart of Darkness opens on a ship, but not one of the commercial vessels that feature in Conrad's sea stories. Like sail, which was rapidly being displaced by steam power, Marlowe is introduced to us as an anarchism, still devoted to the profession his companions have left behind. Setting the opening of The Heart of Darkness on the Thames also allowed Conrad to foreshadow one of the novelist's central conceits: the lack of an absolute, essential difference between so called civilized societies and so called primitive ones. During the second half of the 19th century, spurious theories of racial superiority were used to legitimate empire building, justifying European rule over native populations in places where they had no other obvious right to be. Marlowe, however, is too cynical to accept this convenient fiction. I quote, the conquest of the earth, he says, was not the manifest destiny of European peoples, rather it simply meant the taking it away from those who have a different complexion or slightly flatter noses than ourselves. Unquote. The idea that Africans and Europeans have more in common than the latter might care to admire recurs later, when Marlowe describes observing tribal ceremonies on the banks of the river, confronted with local villagers stamping and swaying, their eyes rolling, he is shaken by a feeling of remote kinship with this wild and passionate uproar. Heart of Darkness suggests that Europeans are not essentially more highly evolved or enlightened than the people whose territories they invade. To this extent, It punctures one of the myths of imperialistic race theory. But as the Patrick Grin- but as the Patrick Berntlinger has argued, it also portrays Congolese villagers as primitiveness personified inhabitants of a land that time forgot. Thank you so much. I hope you will get some important inputs from today's discussion. See you next time with a new text to discuss.